learn how to do deals without having to use the money. So that's number one, because you can.
You can,
So
yeah.
you don't need money, right? You need to know how to do deals and creatively structure them. And there's always opportunities, depending on what kind of asset you're looking at, to be able to do that and or raise capital from other investors to help you purchase more. So you have other options than just that. But let's just talk about refi versus HELOC. You have to look at what's the advantages, basically a numbers thing, which one works out better from a cash flow standpoint, from a rate standpoint, long term, which one's going to free up more equity. Refi, you can only pull out so much. Home equity lines, sometimes you can pull out more of your equity that way. And then home equity lines, thing about that is that they can be canceled. So generally it's a 1 year, kind of a revolver kind of thing, but you got to be careful because they could just cancel that home equity line of credit on you if the bank has a situation or gets in trouble. The rate could be variable on those things. So you have to kind of watch that. But the advantage is it's like a checkbook. So money in and out, you're only paying for what you're using versus a refi, you're paying interest whether you're using it or not in terms of that cash, theoretically, right? Once you pull it out, you pull it out, but it's still the cost of that transaction. HELOCs are generally cheaper than a complete refinance and easier. The other thing is just a bank line of credit. So versus a HELOC, you can go to the bank, you can get lines of credit, things like that. So there's other ways to get the cash and generate it. But generally the best scenario is pull your equity out, refinance into a long-term debt if that works for you, or somewhat of a shorter term, 3, 5, 7-year interest only that creates a lot more cash flow, then redeploy that equity. A lot of times that makes the most sense versus a HELOC situation. Does it even make sense to do a deal? Is the return going to offset and those types of things versus just let me get more, aren't making you more cash flow and the values are going backwards. Let's say interest rates rise, real estate reprices and values start turning the other way, then it really doesn't make sense to do anything from that standpoint. But long-term versus short-term, and it really depends on your goals, the property, whether you want to keep it or whether you want to get out of it, and whether or not you want the cash flow. Obviously, the cheapest interest rate is going to be a short-term interest-only loan. That's going to get you the most cash flow, and you can keep refinancing those. And so you got to think about that when you're doing these short-term interest-only loans. Where are we going to be 2, 3, 5 years? You got to make sure you look at the ceiling on that. Generally, they have rate increase ceilings on them, rate caps with these interest-only loans. So you need to know what that looks like. And then is the value going to be there?